All right, Kevin, always with us. We wrap up a boxing weekend. I want to get into Floyd Mayweather here in a second because he made another appearance over the weekend, and I think something scary on the surface is coming. But what do you think of Devin Alexander?
Mets are Mets. I waited to vote on my top 10. I'm collecting votes right now, Steve, for our top 10 poll for the updated rankings. They're going to go up this week, and I waited to see the fight before I voted because, Devin was on my borderline top 10, but I'm not going to put him in the top 10 right now. I think he's clearly behind Tim Bradley at 140. I thought he won the fight. I disagreed with Kotelnik saying that he won the fight, but I thought it was a closer fight, and I think Alexander still has some work.
The other storyline at the fight, almost a shocking picture for a lot of fans out there. Don King now is suddenly kind of moving into the picture with Floyd Mayweather. How close is this now?
Well, I'm going to believe it when I see it. They've appeared close last week. They appeared close last year. And until Floyd puts pen to paper and signs a promotional deal with Don King, I'm not going to believe it. Don would like to have us believe that, that's the way for Don to get back in the game. Don doesn't have a lot of pieces right now. He doesn't have a lot of, top marketable guys. Devin Alexander is clearly his most marketable guy that he has right now. Floyd Mayweather is in an entirely different league. I mean, he's at the top of the food chain. So if he could get Floyd Mayweather, he's back in a big way. So I think Don wants to certainly give the impression that he has Floyd. It's an fait accompli and that he's going to sign Floyd. But, I'll believe it when I see it.
So you think this is potentially an effort to get this big fight together with Pac-Man? And it's amazing. So essentially the pecking order right now of people Floyd can't work with would be, I guess, possibly, Arum on top. Then he's frustrated with De La Hoya and Schaefer next. But Don King now potentially is a good guy, actually third on that, kind of odd list. And we know Don has had his differences in the past, but Floyd may think that, hey, he can work with Arum.
Well, it's hard to read Floyd's mind because, Floyd is his own person and has different things. But he makes a point. I don't work for anybody. That's what makes me wonder. I don't think that he's going to sign with Don King. Frankly, I think that Don would like us to believe that. I think Don would get it. But as I say, I'll believe it when I see it. He's hired Golden Boy on a case-by-case basis and paid them a flat fee as opposed to signing a promotional contract and being under their banner. You noticed before he fought Shane Mosley at the beginning of the fight when Michael Buffer said, Golden Boy presents in association with Mayweather Promotions. So Mayweather Promotions was one of the promoters of that fight. And I just think that that's what will happen, in the future. Don, I think could get a deal done with Bob Arum. I really do believe that. When they've needed to make big fights, go back to 1999, De La Hoya Trinidad got made because of Arum and King. Earlier in Floyd's career, Arum had Floyd and King had Zab Judah. They got that fight made. Don and Bob have worked together, and I believe in this case they're both smart enough to know how much money is there. They would be able to get a deal done, but it's going to be a matter of whether Floyd signs with Don and gives him the power to go ahead, and move forward. And that I question.
Would it be crazy to think, and I don't even know if it's unethical, that Don has already reached out to Bob Arum?
He may have. I wouldn't be surprised, kind of know what the parameters are, know what they discussed, and I think that, possibly he might have. But, there's still a lot of hurdles here. We don't know what Al Heyman's position in this is. Al Heyman is Floyd's advisor. He's been kind of the power broker, for the last couple of years in the Mayweather camp, quietly behind the scenes negotiating deals for them. What's happening with that? We don't know where he is. I mean, you would think if Don King's in that would indicate, Al Heyman may not be in, but, Al Heyman is a very powerful guy in his own right. So, it remains to be seen.
I think it would be fascinating, though. To me, Bob and Don pushing fights, pushing a fight on both sides and the talk back and forth. It actually probably would be, it's going to be a gigantic promotion regardless, but it actually might be a little bigger promotion than it would be with Golden Boy working alongside with Mayweather.
I think if you have Don King and Bob Arum out there, they're going to go wild, and I think it'd be a huge event. I think it's going to be a big event either way, but having Don King back in the mix would certainly create a lot more excitement, and I think would make it slightly bigger.
All right, Kev. Good job.
Thank you, Steve.
Yay.